My name is Mark Brand. You are listening to Better. I'm a social impact entrepreneur, so I build businesses that are in service to the greater community. So Better was formed to be a tool for everyday advocacy. I think anytime we take people's attention, we have to give something. Folks, welcome back to Better. This is our new format. In between interview weeks, we are going to be having these discussions that are really a little bit of a dissemination of what we've just got to listen to prior to you getting to listen to it. Across the globe, more than 100 million people have been forced from their homes by war, persecution, famine, and fear. They're called refugees. Refugees flee with what they can carry, but what they leave behind cannot be packed.
We spend a lot of time and effort protecting old buildings, architecture, paintings in times of war. We don't put any effort in protecting food cultures in time of war.
The world has a choice: to look away or to listen, protect, and preserve what is being lost. Because every refugee carries more than sorrow. They carry a culture, a voice, and a legacy worth saving.
So we're living off of grass and leaves. And they said when they ate lentils and rice, staples of their cuisine, they felt human again. They felt Rohingya again.
Some people have devoted their lives to not just collecting, but to preserving in the face of life-threatening opposition.
It wasn't about just telling that story, it was about holding the perpetrators to account, to say sorry, to offer amends.
Alrighty, Mark. Holy cow. What an episode that was. Oh my gosh.
This is why I get up in the morning, Madison. This is why I get up in the morning. Like, you know, you can have frames about things that you want and that you hope will happen. And that interview with Michael Shaikh, just 12 out of 10.
And I feel like too, when we talk about your podcast and like the vision we have as a team, like when we're all chatting about it, like this just embodies exactly what we were looking for. And like, it's just so perfect to get your message across. And Michael speaks in a way that just is so passionate. I can't explain it. Like, I was just so invested in what he had to say, and I can't wait for that episode to come out.
So, Madison, in the 80s and early 90s, we had tabletop video games that if you played through them, you could like roll the score. So it only went to a certain amount. We didn't, went like 99999, and that would go to zero. Michael's IQ is like one short of rolling the game. So when you have somebody that wildly intellectual, but also so right brain and so incredibly creative, who has been, he shared with us directly, his life threatened. He's been kidnapped. He's been held against his will for bringing stories of justice to the front line. Just to have that sort of tiger by the tail in that conversation, he showed up so hard.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, and like some of the quotes that I wrote down, or one that really stood out to me, is holding the big guys accountable. Oh my goodness. And he even said too, or like you did, saying how like the younger demographic is like so into that. And like that is just such a real conversation and so relevant right now. I mean, hello, look at the world. Like it's all about holding these big companies and like big names accountable for their actions. Like it's just so relevant right now.
Critical. And I think there's so much fear around that. What are going to be the repercussions for me, for my business, for my family? And so why I wanted to insert Michael at this exact time is this is how you manage those things. This is how you manage those things respectfully, with truth, with honor, with integrity. If we're going to meet the challenges that we're being faced with right now, we have to push back. And there is a way to push back that doesn't mean, the ultimate side of violence or burn it all down. It can be, no, we just want you to apologize, to be held accountable, to change your actions, to move in a way that's in integrity. And that's all the generations truly want. But there seems to be this uneasiness about how it's done. And so Michael gave us some real tools on, this is how I move through that space. I get it wrong. This is something we're so all afraid to say, right? Is like,
yeah, right.
I can't be 100% perfect. My entire platform has always been like, here's all the flaws, here's all the skeletons in my closet. Let me give you everything. So therefore I can move and try and do things that are positive. And Michael shared that exact same message, which is so powerful.
Yeah. And like talking about the Western bubble as well, like going back to that as well. Like I thought that was so interesting to me because like, yeah, we are in such a bubble. And like, I don't know a lot about like world culture, conflict, everything like that. But like the way he explained it, somebody like me who doesn't know much, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. This is extremely relevant and needs to be talked about. And I'm so, so happy you brought him on because it is just so critical right now.
Definitely. And we always say widen the aperture, right? So how do you expand your lens at a rate that feels comfortable for you? Right? I think that
Right.
we're all experiencing too much flooding right now of our
Mm.
system. We can only carry 5 or 6 sort of thoughts at once. And then, if you open any of the social media apps within 15, 20 seconds, you're flooded with everything. And so you have to sort of put it down or look for escapism. And so,
Mhm.
he helped us really weave in what we used to go to, and me personally too. 8 years sober this year, I would go to drinking. I believe now a lot of generations go to socials and that they just
Right.
doom scroll and that they're just taking these things in to get any sort of a serotonin burst from a puppy falling down a staircase to sort
Yeah.
of go across with a genocide. Like these things are all just inundating us. And so to slow down, to start to give some understanding and to really have some tools for resilience in ourself and externally is some of the things he shared with us today.
Yeah, and I think too, like being also Gen Z and like understanding that way of life, it's like we are impatient. We want things now. And I think social media contributes a lot to that, like instant gratification. 1 minute it's the news and there's bombings and there's like tragedy. And then, yeah, you get like a kitten or like a dog. And it's like that contrast, that instant, I think is not talked about enough too. But Michael's notion of leading with kindness and understanding and grace and finding more common ground and not getting so aggressive is just really powerful and like a wake up call, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, I'm drawn to Kendrick Lamar's Turn the TV Off,
Yeah, yeah.
weaves perfectly with, Gil Scott Heron's The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, right? It's
Hmm.
like 55 years later, our artists are at our doorstep, and Michael is one of those artists, and his art is through investigative journalism and through his words, his written words through the book. These things are not new. And so for your generation and generations just slightly above you, up into mine, I just want us to remember and have an awareness that what we're experiencing is not new. The leadership thing is not new.
Yeah.
Our as Michael shared so clearly and vividly, like these are things that have been perpetuated against people forever, and they just distract us in a different direction. So to like hold on to your skill and your tools. Michael shared with us, he was about to write his LSAT and hit snooze.
Yeah.
He's like, this is not
Yeah.
my path, right? And similarly, I
Right.
was doing pre-law philosophy and psychology at SMU, and I was going
Oh,
down that path.
same.
But there you go. Well, you can see how that worked out for me because I knew that my
Right.
skills and my tools wouldn't be applicable in the way that I wanted them to be there. So what I wanted from this episode too is to say your path may not have ever been forged. Like what you may choose to do with your life may never have been created, that you are not restricted to one of 6 boxes that we are
Right.
being presented with. Those 6 boxes are being presented also to keep us in a way subservient. Right. So if you are willing to forge in Nova Scotia right now, we just popped open our cafe, a few months back, and we've got some other stuff on the horizon. These are our forms of resistance. Our personal forms of resistance are providing food security and sovereignty to mass people at a way that they can really access it and understand it. Michael's is going into that thought leadership place and saying, hey, read this, really understand it, taste it, cook it for yourself, like feel your way through it. So was that alive for you in the episode?
Yes. Yeah. I think both notions, what you're doing and what Michael does, is you're leading with the same intention. Maybe not the same intention, but it's like from a good place. It's wanting to attack a problem head on. And like you said in the interview, peel back the layers and get back to that foundation and like discuss how to make that better. Both of what you're doing, I think, are very impactful and what we need right now. But I also think something interesting that Michael brought up is he said with all the good work he does and everything like that, he also sometimes asks, is it worth it?
Mm,
And that is such an interesting take. And it's not talked about because you assume these people who are doing amazing things, like they're just on a whole other level that we could never relate to. But he kept reiterating how he's human too. And I think that's
critical.
also so, yeah, like so important to talk about. And yeah, how did you feel about that? Because you're also quite the big figure as well.
I mean, I clap all this stuff up. It's
Yeah.
further. So as an investigative journalist myself, I'm investigating humans, right? I'm investigating
Right.
how they play and what makes them better. and not better in a not Kobe Bryant competitive way, but better for themselves and for their family. And so Michael shared with us, in these moments, how does he protect himself, his family, his witnesses? How does he work with
Yes.
countries, and like how does he build systems of design to keep people safe? And so if we think about Halifax specifically, our incredible sponsors of this show, like One Time for East Coast Credit Union, like to think about them in the design, when I'm talking about our cafe, we have to build with all levels, right? So I work in Halifax and in Vancouver, but in Halifax specifically for this story, with the municipality. We work with the municipality. We work with the province. We work with the federal government on food security and sovereignty. Now, do I believe in all of their practices? Absolutely not. And they're also fully aware of that. But they don't also believe in all of mine. They don't think what I'm doing is the best way. But that doesn't
Right.
mean that we don't join forces. So to have East Coast Credit Union sponsor our work in the cafe to allow us to bring this piece of resistance to Goddard Street, to this historical African Nova Scotian neighborhood that is now such a big multicultural melting pot where folks are facing all of these other domestic issues, homelessness, street violence, trafficking, all of the things. We are this little bastion of light for people to be able to access. He's talking about the same thing with bosses who've given him the cover, right? Who've literally laid it down, for people on the ground who he's partnered with that allow him to be safe, with governments who allow his witnesses to be safe. It's all the same sort of resistance. And so I share that to say everything that you want to do has a design. There is a way to build this life of resistance and the life of work that you want without just trying to burn it all down on Twitter. I promise you it doesn't work. Like,
I loved when you said that because it's so real and it's so just like relatable. You know what I mean? Because people do just like, excuse my language, but they just shit on Twitter. Like it's such a dumpster fire, and it's so refreshing to see, both of you acknowledge that this is a thing and how to like move forward from it too. Like that, yeah, very refreshing.
yeah, I mean, you have to understand that every single lens that is shared with you is coming from somebody's basically their own bias and trauma, but it's also coming from their agenda. So when we talk about wiping out food cultures, and we talked about Native American cultures, but we also talked about Sri Lankan cultures, we talked about what the Chinese government is moving right now. When we talk about all of these things, they are trying to make people as powerless as possible. And one of the centering designs of this podcast is to feel power, to feel empowered as an individual, that you matter so immensely to this planet and to this place. And I think we get overwhelmed by design through these social media applications to say, what does it even matter? What I put up didn't get any views. What I put up didn't get any likes. What I said didn't, that. And it's like, well, cool. Take that same energy and put it into the real world.
Right.
Not the world that they want to keep us inhabiting, right? Where they want to keep all of our attention. Our attention is so valuable to them. Our time, our clicks, our purchasing is so valuable to people who are running these multinationals who are literally trying to hold that energy. Your form of resistance can be like, I got a 10-minute screen limit on my Twitter. I got like 15 minutes screen limit on my Instagram. And I'm only going to see my friends and what they're doing. Look at this baby shower.
Yes.
Fantastic. Like, that's where you can connect with community, use it as a powerful tool. We're doing it right now. But outside of that, do not allow yourself to get caught up in the maelstrom of it. When we discussed that in the episode as well.
Yeah. And it's such an important thing for like, I mean, I'm going to like be biased because I'm Gen Z, but like Gen Z specifically, like you'll go to a dinner and I'll be at like a dinner with my friends and you look and it's like you're on your phone, but then you look up and everybody else is also on their phone. And we've kind of lost a little bit of that like human element to gatherings and meetings and everything like that. And I think, going back to the episode, it's so important to just have those organic conversations that spark those interesting conversations and, make room for discussion, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And let's just call a spade right here. I don't care if you're 12 years old or 92 years old. If you're in conversation with somebody, put your fucking phone down.
Amen.
Like, just like there's absolutely no space. It is a direct form of disrespect. And people would be like, I'm medicated. I'm on the spectrum. Whatever is going on for you, absolutely, it is within your agency and your purview and your ability to show the person that you are in conversation with the respect to just be present and show more important, and show yourself the respect to be present, right? Like, presence is such an undervalued thing. And guilty, like, hold on a sec, preaching to choir, like, so guilty, because I take so many notes as well when I'm in conversation with people, or I'm like, oh my God, this sink is overflowing, I got to manage this thing. But if you are particularly around food and around the table, I can imagine Michael being sitting on a dirt floor in the Samuel region, in the places that he's in. I don't think he'd be pulling out his cell phone to take a picture for Instagram. And I think that there's like a lesson in that for all of us, in slowing down and just being present. Like I get nervous that I'm going to miss parts of my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss it just to document it.
Yeah, and even like concerts and stuff, like all you see are phones, and like obviously I'm also, again, 22. I'm being a hypocrite. Like obviously I have my phone out all the time and everything too, but this conversation specifically, I just was so locked in. I can't explain it. And like I was taking notes the whole time. Like I had my iPad in front of me taking notes, and I still was like, I feel like I'm missing something. Like there's just so much good stuff in your interview. I can't wait for people to listen to it.
Well, I think that's a perfect little note for you and I to close on. Folks, get ready for this one. It's genuinely, I'm going to go back and listen to it multiple times. And as I said in the interview, I'm going back and reading chapters of this book multiple times before I can even go forward, because the information that's in here and the storytelling, it's just so beautiful. It's, I'll use the analogy because we're here. When you see the best meme, you go back and rewatch it and then you show it to your friends. The chapters in this book are like that, and the chapters of this episode are like that. So it's going to be super powerful for you all to hear. And I'm really excited for your feedback, and I'm excited for you to get the book. I'm Mark Brand, and you've been listening to Better.